writers, welcome to Mad Science Films. I'm Jimmy P, filmmaker, sexual astronaut, and this week is a very special episode. I'm joined by a very special guest. He may well be the most prolific filmmaker of the last 18 months. It's one-man music video maestro, Tom Hughes of RITUAL Video. Hello, Tom. How's it going, man?
Really awesome intro.
When we first got kind of stuck in the whole pandemic and the lockdown stuff, one of the things that definitely kept me going was just the sheer amount of stuff that you were churning out during this period, mate. And I'll admit here, and you know, I've said it, I think, to you over chat as well. I'm jealous. I'm jealous of like how productive you've been, mate. You definitely saw this as an opportunity rather than anything else. So. Pack your flippers, guys, because this episode we're going to do a deep dive into making music videos during a worldwide pandemic. So, all right, nice easy one to start with, Tom. A bit of a maths quiz. How many music vids do you think you made during like the pandemic and lockdown itself? Or have you lost count?
Yeah, I honestly don't know. This year I've probably been doing one a month, maybe sometimes two a month, maybe. So I would say last year I probably did like 6 or 7, and maybe this year so far I've probably done about the same amount, but I've also shot there's another one that hasn't come out that I made in spring that's going to come out soon, and there's probably another 2 or 3 I'm sitting on that I'm waiting for dates to come out. So I've kind of, like, whatever you've seen come out, there's probably another 2 or 3 on top of that I've been doing like per few month period or whatever.
Definitely. I mean, what I recommend to anybody watching is join Tom on his Instagram, RITUAL Video on Instagram, because I kind of watch it hawk-eyed, having a look at, and I'm like, oh, has that come out yet? No, that one hasn't come out yet. In addition to the music videos, I think you've also done a few short films as well. Is that right?
Yeah, I did. I did a few. I think I did a short for fun kind of last spring called Static. There was like a horror short which I shot in like one day at a house in Cardiff, and that was kind of the first thing I DP'd myself, because it was just at the start of it was just before the pandemic hit. So before the pandemic I was like getting bigger in like the crews I was using a DP on every shoot I was doing. I was using makeup, and I was using an AC, and I was probably using like 4 or 5 different people. And I was just about to start getting a script supervisor and like paying like lighting guys that I know, because I have friends who are like sparks. And it was like getting into this really big thing. And then the pandemic happened, and I was like, it's going to have to be me and 2 actors. So I did that short, which was just me kind of learning how to light and shoot something. And I bought this little stabilizer, which I kind of use on everything now. Like, it's just so much easier than using a gimbal or so yeah, I did that short. And then last summer I did a Giallo short, which I actually just shot like for my birthday. My girlfriend was in it. She couldn't really say no to acting in it. I was like, nice. I want to make a film for my birthday, so I'm going to put on some black gloves and kill you in a bath. And she's like, yeah, okay, fine.
I love that, mate. I'm definitely stealing that. I'm going to do that for my next birthday. Good call. What I love about your music videos, mate, is for the most part, as far as the ones that have come out, they're kind of more narrative videos than the performance videos. I mean, is that your own personal preference?
That's my, I think when I decided to start making music videos, I was camera assisting for May Lewis, the guy who was DPing all my stuff, and he did a few music videos. This is about 3 years ago. He did a few kind of rock music videos for kind of local bands around Cardiff, and I'd helped on those, and that had kind of given me the bug to want to do it. But then I was like, okay, I'd like to do this myself, and I'd like to direct them, because I AC'd the first one, and then I kind of AC'd and directed the second one. And when I was directing that, I was like, okay, I want to direct more music videos, because they're really fun, and there's less of a long process compared to making a short or whatever. But everyone does performance videos, and in metal, because I knew I always wanted to do like metal videos, and like I listened to kind of like black metal, death metal, like the more kind of extreme end of things, which is harder to find in Wales. So I knew I wanted to work with bands abroad, and I knew I wanted to do something different from just 4 guys in a garage backlit with some smoke, because everyone is doing the same thing.
I've seen those, I've worked on those,
you know, so like I was like, okay, well, what if I can take genre film and what I like, which is like horror and like 80s B movies and 70s giallo films and things that are lit a certain way, and each video having like a specific style, then I could do what I like doing, which is making like almost a style exercise every time I shoot something that's different, because I get bored so quickly. I have to do something different every single time.
Yeah.
And I could also make a short film, but then bands would get something different from the norm, and also bands that want to tell a story with the music or really like a genre of film can go, okay, I want, like it happened last year, a band was like, I want you to make me a 12-minute zombie film in the style of Lucio Fulci. And I was like, yes, that is a job I can do. You know, that's like, those are the kind of dream jobs, right? Where I started doing Ritual, which was like 2 years ago, that I was like, I want to be like a director that people go, okay, I want this really niche, weird thing. Chances are, if it's a niche, weird thing, I've probably spent time obsessed with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, if I'm the guy you can come to and get that really weird thing, then great. You know, just I think finding a little corner of the industry and then just doing that one thing well is kind of what I want to do. And it worked out so far. Like I'm kind of doing a video every month. I'm doing 2 this month. One's coming out today, actually.
Black metal, death metal, those are your 2 kind of favorite genres to do videos for. Is that about right?
Yeah, I think black metal, because the imagery is more crazy. In fact, the video I'm holding on to that hasn't come out yet is for a Greek black metal band. And it's a narrative video again, but it's really crazy, kind of blasphemous, really OTT. And then I got him to do performance as well. And all I said was just record yourself singing along to the song. And he sent me he sent me a video. The first video is him like in a cloak with a dagger burning a Bible, you know what I mean? The second take he sent me was him in the woods in a leather vest covered in tattoos with a fire torch singing to camera with like these white contacts in, and I'm like, I love this, man, you know. And then death metal lends itself to horror better than anything else, I think. And a lot of, you know, most people who are into death metal are also into horror, and they're also kind of around my age, like in their 30s. So they've grown up with when horror was fun. I guess they've seen some 70s stuff when horror was a bit more extreme and gritty and tough. And then they've seen the 80s where it's like Return of the Living Dead, or, you know, the Italian films or whatever it is. So they have the same sensibilities as me, I think. So I'm much more likely to be able to make the kind of things I like if I do things for those bands. But having said that, the video that's coming out today is a blues video, you know, which was really a nice change. I'm shooting a one-hour on Sunday for an indie band, but they're kind of a intense, quite dark, almost electronic indie band, which is why I'm doing a really intense one-hour for 3.5 minutes. So yeah, it's nice because I'm getting to do different things, but I primarily go towards like metal just because it's me. There's a bar for what I want to do as well. You know, I wouldn't do anything just gory for the sake of it. I'd want to put a story in it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do anything that's just performance unless it was interesting. And I wouldn't want to do anything too PC. Actually, I thought about saying too negative, and I was like, no, actually, too PC is the thing that would turn me off. If somebody was like, you know, we have to follow all these parameters and it has to be the certain way or whatever, I probably wouldn't do that. Like, really, what I look for in people is if I like the song, I'll do it, and if the people know what I do and like what I do and trust me and they want me to make them a video, you know. I think that's the difference. Is sometimes people are looking for someone to make them a video, anyone to make them a video, you know, and it has to be cheap and it has to be this, that, and the other. But what I'm really looking for and the people I want to work with is like people who are in bands that are credible, and then people who like me and what I do, I like similar stuff to me and what I do, and they want me to direct them something, because then I feel like we're not going to be in a situation where they're kind of micromanaging or giving loads of notes or whatever, and I'll get a bit of freedom to do what I want to do.
See, a big thing in music videos is you're collaborating, which obviously you got to do in a normal narrative film, but in a music video, obviously you're also collaborating with the original artist, the musician. How do you feel about that? Is it, you know, 50-50? Is it pretty much they're just ask you, or is it they've got something very specific and you've just got to, you know, make that happen?
It changes, depends on who it is, but what usually tends to happen is somebody will get in touch with me either on Instagram or just through an email and say, you did a video for one of our friends, you know, kind of weirdly around kind of, I feel like Philadelphia area in America, and then in Greece as well. There are bands where I've done a video and then their friends have seen it and they've gone, oh, Tom, we want you to do a video because we've seen our friend's video or whatever. But usually people will get in touch and say, this is the song, this is the kind of thing we're looking for, you know, do you want to come up with something? Or sometimes people send me their whole album and just say, like the indie band I'm doing for now, actually a bigger band than I've worked with before. And they sent me their whole album and were like, do you want to do a video for any one of these? And I could pick the one I wanted to do. And then I could go, yeah, these three would work. This is what this one would be. This is what this one would be. This is what this one would be. And then they chose the one they liked. And then, but yeah, most of the time people will kind of give me a rough idea, or they'll give me a song. I'll write a treatment using the lyrics and using the song for what I think would work. And then I'll turn that into like a pitch. And I'll send them this treatment, which is like kind of like a pitch deck, just with, you know, images of and references and video links to things and style notes on how it's going to look and be colored. And then obviously there's a narrative in there. I used to do full scripts. I used to do like, here's an 8-page formatted script. You know, I don't do that now. I just do beats. I just do like bullet points of what's going to happen. And then we tweak that together. And I'm always like, look, this is kind of loose, because if I get to the edit and I need to change stuff, it'll have to change. You know, I went to shoot something 2 months ago and the first shot was a guy waking up in a castle. Castle's awesome, been there loads of times, it's all good. So I get the actor, I get my AC, I turn it on the day. The castle is covered in ladders and dudes in high-vis vests cleaning rocks off the top, loose rocks off the top of the castle. And I'm like, oh, okay, so my entire style has to change, because I can't look this direction. I have to look over here now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of loose, but that's kind of how it works. And then once they approve the treatment, we have a chat, just on Skype or whatever, just about films they like and how they want it to look and stuff, and make sure we're fully on the same page before we kind of go ahead. And then I send them all the businessy stuff and the T's and C's, and we sort of the money things. And then, yeah, and then they pretty much leave me to it then, you know. I do all the pre-production myself, and then I give them a little update before the shoot with the shoot dates, do the shoot, give them an update after the shoot, and then maybe 2 to 3 weeks after that, the edit will be done. And I send them like a Vimeo link to approve. And then once they approve it, then it's done. Yeah, that's pretty much the whole thing.
That's brilliant. I love the fact that, yeah, you're locking him in very early at the pitch stage, so there are no surprises for either party. And I love the fact that, yeah, you know, you're talking your terms and conditions. So there's a physical contract involved.
Yeah, there's a there's a T's and C's on my website with a agreement thing, and a form for them to fill in their name and everything, and a tick box that says you're entering into a legally binding contract.
Nice.
And you know, obviously in the T's and C's is also, it's never happened, but for whatever reason, if you're not satisfied with the full video, you owe me the money for the work I've done, not for the video. You know what I mean? So there's enough in there to kind of cover my back, but there's also stuff that just lets them know how things are going to work. Like I'll share the clips that I give you on my Instagram to promote you at the same time as promote me, and I'll share your video on my Facebook and things like that. So normally what I do in the treatment, I give them a set of deliverables, and it's like the approval version of the video and the final version of the video. But there's at least 2 clips for Instagram. I've started doing vertical 8-second loops for Spotify as well, because Spotify is doing this loop thing.
Yeah.
There may be a low-res version of the music video to embed at the top of a Bandcamp page. And there's always a folder of JPEG stills. Just screen grabs, just for promo, you know. So I make sure that if you pay me for a video, you get a video, but then you also get literally a month if you want it. You know, if you space it out. Some people don't; they just go and put it all online at once. But most people do spread them out over a month, and we do a nice build up, you know, and then we promote it together on the run up and help each other get more views. And yeah, it's great, man. It works well.
So, I mean, again, going back to the contract and the T's and C's and all of that, was that
Yeah.
you learned from like bitter experience that, you know, yeah, you needed
No,
it in place, or was this just, you know, from other people's experience, or just
it was photography because I've worked freelance.
Hmm.
I worked freelance part-time for 3 years before I started Ritual. So I was ACing on stuff, and I was doing photography on stuff. So I was doing photography for people, and I had a contract for that anyway. Um, and then when I started Ritual, and I just amended my photography contract to be a video contract, basically. And now I'm doing animation. I need to amend it again to include the animation side of things too. So I need to do that this week, actually. But yeah, I keep tightening it as I go. But because my fiance is a wedding photographer, she already had a really good contract because she's been doing this for longer than me. So she helped me with loads of stuff anyway. Like, she gave me advice on the T's and C's and all the things not to get bit in the ass afterwards, you know. But thankfully, touch wood, everyone's been really cool. Like, people in metal are the nicest people, you know. They're the most misunderstood people because they, like, if I'm listening to Cannibal Corpse or wearing like a gory t-shirt or whatever and covered in tattoos, people think a certain thing. But people in metal are literally always the nicest, most down to earth, calm people, just super positive and really nice, you know. So I've been fine so far, thankfully.
So what's been the ratio in terms of bands coming back and just saying, nah, not really what we're looking for, and, you know, walking away? Has there been a lot of that?
No, never.
Brilliant. I mean, that's amazing, mate. Yeah. Sorry, I don't want to jinx it.
Nah, it's fine. I've had a few things where I've had to change a few things. I've had to explain filmmaking a little bit to a few people, just to be like, I don't have control over everything, you know. I can do my best, and I can go out there and I can run it and gun it, and I can you know. I think people know that I'll always be swinging for the fence. I think that's the main reason that anybody would give me money to do anything is, if I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it 1000%. And if I tell you it's going to be done by this time, it's going to be done by that time. It's going to be done before, to be honest. I give people deadlines. You know, like when I finish this call today, I'm finishing animating a video that isn't due until maybe the end of September. It's going to be finished today. I'm going to send it to him tomorrow. It'll be approved by next Monday, and it'll be done. It'll be sitting there. Like, I think I regularly give things to people early. I give them extra things, like even extra, you know, if I think it's good and there's more clips, I'll give you more than 2 clips, you know, for the deliverables or whatever. And I think people know my intentions to make the best thing that I can make, you know, so they're pretty cool with me.
I think that's so important. I mean, you know, basically these guys are your customers, and that's why you're getting all this great mouth, which is, you know, absolutely taken off, and people know what to expect because their friends have said, oh yeah, you've got to hit up Tom, you know, he's you know, gave us all this extra shit and all of that. Yeah, fantastic. No, that's brilliant.
And I used to explain things a lot more, and I don't now. I think the more confident I get and the more I do it, the more I just keep it really, really simple. I just say, okay, this is the idea. This is how much this idea costs. If you have less money than this, I'll simplify the idea so it's less work. That's all it is. So it's just less editing time, you know, or less shoot days or whatever it is.
Traditionally, the funding comes from the band themselves, or do you deal with labels at all,
or? Yeah, both, man. Like, labels these days don't have as much money as they used to have for music videos, you know, like especially in underground metal, the labels normally don't chip in money at all for a video. They may do if it's a debut album and a label debut and they've just been signed, they may chip in. If they're already an established band or whatever, they may be able to give them some of it. But most bands these days have a recording contract, so they get the money to go into the studio and record an album, and then they get their copies and they get their merch and things afterwards. So it's not kind of the way it used to be, where you would get a grand budget, $2,000 budget from a label, unless, you know, in the future, if I work with bigger people or different genres of music, that might be more likely. But in metal, most of the time, the band are paying for all their promo stuff themselves. You know, they're sometimes paying for the recording themselves. They're paying for the mixing and mastering, and then they're paying for the music video and any photography they have or whatever it is. The album art, even, they're paying for the album art. So a lot of the times the band are kind of giving the label, especially if they're pitching to a label to get signed to there and have something put out by a label they like. it's more normal to go to the label with, okay, this is everything. These are all the assets you'll need to promote us. This is everything we've taken care of, because it shows the label you're taking it seriously, you invest in your own money in it, all that kind of thing. So normally it's bands who pay me the money, you know, and because I've been in bands and I play in bands now, I get it, you know. I don't have loads of money to give somebody to make the most crazy video in the world. So normally it's like, okay, if you like this film, how can we make a really low budget version of this? And this is the minimum I can make it for, kind of thing, is what the conversation kind of ends up being.
So that's all done at kind of the pitch stage, really. Is like, you know, if they come to something, you're like, okay, we can do that as cheap as we can, and this is it. Do you then present them with like a budget breakdown, or do they kind of just go, yeah, fine, go away?
No, I do a full. So if like, say you'll come to me for a video and I'll do a treatment to work out how that video is going to work, and then if you approve that treatment, then I go, okay, I'll cost that out then. Okay, how many shoot days do I need? How many actors do I need to pay? How long do I need an AC for? Because it's just me and an AC now. There's no other crew at all. We just do everything ourselves. Me and Jack Beresford from Cardiff. We do everything. So I pay him, and then I pay the actors, whatever it is proportionate to the budget per day that I can afford to pay them. But it's as much as I can afford to pay. But even day players, you know, nobody's working for free. So I will break down the budget, and it'll be like 2 shoot days with camera rental and lights and all that stuff, this much times 2, and then one actor, main actor for 2 days, this much per day, you know. So it'll be a full breakdown of how much everything's going to cost, so everybody knows exactly where their money's going. So that if they come back and they're like, okay, we have £200-300 less than that, that's all we can do, because the exchange rate is killing me at the moment, because the American dollar, to do a £1,000 video for a band is costing a band £1.5 grand, because the exchange rate is so bad. So people are having to budget more to hire me at the moment because of the pound thing and the dollars. So then we can see, okay, if you need to cut £200, we can cut. Are we cutting a shoot day, or are we cutting 2 actors? You know what I mean? And then it's like, you can make a real world decision about your video and be like, okay, you know, if we simplify everything, maybe we can get it in a day and a half instead of like 3 days, or, you know, whatever it is. But we work it out together, and it's been very rarely recently that I've had to pull the plug on something because people couldn't get the money together. There are still people who pitch ideas to me and want me to make a video but have £400, and I'm like, I can't make anything for 400. Like, I can't even pay anyone to come, you know. I'll just be in a field by myself if you only have a few £100, you know what I mean? So definitely the threshold that I do a cut off now that I can't do a video for has gone up. When I first started, I was doing more work for less money. Pretty common thing when you're freelancing, and you know, you go, oh, I gotta pay rent, what am I gonna do? Oh my god, give me 10 jobs for £150. Now I'm just like, I'll do one video. I literally will try and do one video a month at a maximum of 2, and it's only 2 if it's manageable, and I can 1,000% be happy with what I'm doing with everyone's video, and not give anyone a subpar video, because it's weird. I've got this personal thing where I'm like, I have to be 1,000% like, this is the best video I've done every single time. Which is pressure, but it's good pressure, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, mate, you know, like you've got your logo ritual video either at the beginning or the end of it. So yeah, you know, and if you put out something substandard, and that's the most recent thing, there's every chance that that's the only thing other people will see, and it kills your brand. So what's, if you don't mind me asking, what's the low threshold that, you know, you won't do a video for?
I try not to do anything for under, I mean, it depends what it is, but I try not to do anything for like 800 a grand. I try to start at £1,000, just because that gives me enough money to hire good actors, and I can use all the gear that I've got, and I can get, like I said, my AC to help me, and I can have a couple of shoot days, so I'm not rushing and really pushing. I mean, I always am rushing. I always am against the clock. It doesn't matter, you know. I can have as many shoot days as I want. I regularly go, I can shoot that in 2 days, and I do, but I should have shot it in 4. Happens every single time. But yeah, I usually try and go for around £1,000. That's where I say my prices start at anyway. If somebody comes along and they only have 700 or 800 or whatever, then we'll just have to work out a way that I can do it. We'll have to take work off my plate so I spend less time on it. Just because when I started, I was literally, I mean, I still am spending a month, but sometimes it's 6 weeks of your life, you know.
Yeah.
And even 4 weeks of minimum wage in you know, the UK is £1,000 and a bit. So you end up doing 6 weeks for less than minimum wage, and it burns you out, man, you know, because the amount of work I'm doing. Fighting burnout is pretty much a constant thing for me. So it's like I'm trying to only do projects that I really love, only work with bands I really like, only do things that give me enough money to make the video as good as I want it to be. And
It's
I've
similar,
also
it's
started
similar to
doing,
films though, isn't it? Like, you know, if you've got to be passionate about it because you're going to be living with
yeah,
it on a shorter scale, but you're going to be
yeah,
living with this video for, as you were saying, like 6 weeks at least.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's got to maintain your interest and your passion for that 6 weeks. Otherwise, what's the
yeah,
point?
yeah. And you've got to be pumped about it to get everybody on board in the first place as well. That's the one thing I'm really, really lucky with, is because I think because I always do try to pay people, and I always do what I say I'm going to do, and I don't really cancel things much. And you know, I think I'm really lucky that I have a whole bunch of really lovely people who come and help me make things, and I've got access to actors who trust me as a director enough to come and do whatever crazy thing I'm asking them to do, and they know it'll end up looking okay, it'll come out cool. You know what I mean? So I think that's the big part of it as well. It's like having the access to people and being able to make things in that way.